Welcome to Sales for Nice People, the daily podcast for ethical entrepreneurs who want to sell more because of their values and not despite them. I am Martin Steller. I help nice people sell more. This is episode 36, and we are talking about deployed strategic empathy. What does that mean? Well, think of it like this. In most sales situations, what people try to do is have convincing arguments and compelling reasoning and then negotiate towards an agreement. But the more you try to convince and persuade, the more you give your buyer reasons to argue against you. So you end up in a sort of verbal battle where you're saying one thing and then the buyer has an objection, and then you have to overcome that objection, and it becomes a frustrating, tired, ineffective process. Whereas if you use empathy in a strategic way, things change. Strategic empathy means your buyer has a problem and they are talking to you because they think maybe you should be the one to solve it. Now, in order for them to understand and realize and internalize that you are the best choice, you need to communicate with them in such a way that they feel seen, that they trust that you can solve the problem, that you are the best choice. And for you to communicate in that way means you need to understand them. You need to get your buyer if you want to get the deal. So strategic empathy means that you ask questions and you listen very carefully. You ask follow-up questions and follow-through questions in order to really understand your buyer, to figure out what are their concerns and their fears and their worries and frustrations and their goals and hopes and aspirations, and what is the identity piece, who is your buyer looking to become. Once you understand these things, once you elicit this kind of information from your buyer by deploying empathy, you suddenly start to have a conversation where your buyer enrolls themselves because they feel seen. They realize that you get them. And this makes selling so much easier, especially for good people who want to make a difference, because you no longer have to do the whole convincing and persuading. Instead, you ask questions. You let your buyer tell you why they want to buy. And this way, your buyer enrolls themselves. So if you want your sales to be easier, then you want to deploy strategic empathy and really get your buyer.